Hello?
Hi, my name is Caitlin.
Yeah. Hi there.
Hi, my name is Mark. I'm Mark Lincoln. I'm just calling in regards to a request that came through to the office about an accommodation supplement.
Okay, great. Thank you. I wasn't expecting such a quick call back, so thank you very much.
That's all good. Um, I'm just having a look through here, and I can see from the notes basically you were requesting to have your accommodation supplement backdated and reissued for the place that you're currently staying at. Does that sound about right?
No, it's not far off, but things can get a bit lost in translation, and I know that there's limited space for notes, though Ruth did her best. So I'm not asking for a back payment. I am just asking for a payment from the date I applied. And whether or not the payment is approved, of course, as you and I will both know, payments, whether if they're granted, will start on the date of or I guess in a sense backdated to the date of application, not of the date that the accommodation started. So I applied. I guess. Sorry, I don't mean to be nitpicky. It depends what backdated means. I'm not expecting to have a back payment from a date that I hadn't applied, but it would be great to have that back paid from the date I did apply, and I was led to believe that would be processed reasonably quickly.
Right. Okay.
And the reason that you're calling, as far as I am aware from my conversation with Ruth, is that partly that there is, I think, because the accommodation supplement is a discretionary payment. Although discretionary has a specific meaning, and I don't think it means sort of willy-nilly, different. I've understood all along that it would, the discretionary amount would be accepted under discretion because it fits the bill of accommodation that I can't afford. But then there are others who interpret the legislation or perhaps their policy that goes through to the to case managers and so forth that may not necessarily reflect the legislation in the way that others might read it. So that's where I think we're at, to just sort of talk about whether or not the accommodation that I've been paying for, which has exactly the same meaning as any other accommodation in terms of somewhere to stay that you pay for, whether or not that would be accepted as a discretionary amount, because without it I can't pay for accommodation. And I'll let you talk now.
Right. So my understanding from reading the notes here basically on this is that we would pay an accommodation if something was provided to say that this would be an ongoing situation. As I can tell, nothing has been provided since that last conversation that you've had in regards to that. Basically looking at this, we just need something confirmation from basically your landlord essentially, saying this would be an ongoing tenancy basically.
So that I'll just jump in here. So that's a separate part. So there are two parts to the phone call with Ruth, and the bit that I was talking about is the first bit, and then the bit that you're talking about is the second bit. And there is absolutely no way that I could have possibly negotiated in agreement with the host in that time. This is something that's quite unusual. She's an Airbnb member, and it's something that she and I would have to discuss, and that is certainly not something I could have no, I mean, I don't think I need to explain why that's not something that I can immediately, get her to do an about face and then turn into a completely different accommodation provider than what she is now. That's a discussion that she and I will have. And although it's lovely that you've called me back so quickly, Ruth did say it could take up to a week. So at the moment, what I'm concerned about is that I do want to pay for a second term because I'm paid till Saturday, but without an accommodation supplement, I'm pretty high and dry. And so I'd rather at this stage, we'll focus on that second point about an ongoing arrangement, but at the moment, that's not anything I can contribute. That's a work in progress. But I would just, if it's possible, to focus on the first part at the moment, and if that's not possible, then it's probably better just to defer that a bit later. I've sent through, since speaking with Ruth, I've sent through the portal 3 documents, and one of them was just the subsection of the Social Securities Act, and I just sent that through just raw, as I think I made a note there. I don't know if you've seen it. When I said hi, case manager, I didn't know who was calling, but I'm assuming that's you. And then I was going to go through and just sort of more finely look through and see what was relevant, because I've worked in, with legislation. I'm quite good at reading legislation, and I know that there is an interpretation section that can help us determine whether or not what I've been paying for counts as accommodation. And quite often just the sections themselves don't actually define their terms. You've got to go and find those terms elsewhere. And that's something that I wanted to look through probably before getting into the conversation. But my understanding is that there has been no restriction on how long accommodation must be. And I think that if MSD, and that is MSD's purpose, is to, do its part to maintain the well-being and of New Zealanders, and especially keep roofs over heads, it doesn't seem to make any sense to deny someone the ability to pay for temporary accommodation when we all know that there's a housing crisis, and temporary accommodation is often all that anybody can get. There are people with full-time jobs who are living on the street, and I've spent my time living on the street. So I don't really think that's in the spirit of MSD to deprive people of what is effectively the same thing as rent. It's just transient by the nature of the accommodation, the terms and conditions of the accommodation providers. For example, hostels do not want people living there. They want people to come and have a holiday and then move on. And that's not a choice that I have made. And I'm not well, I'm on supported living payments, and I don't know why. I can't see any justification for not allowing me any money to pay for temporary accommodation when the only alternative is to sleep in the park.
I'm just looking through the email / letter you kind of sent through here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not the fastest reader.
That's okay, and I know I've had the interface at your end explained, and I know things don't come through in a neat package for you, unfortunately, and that's not your fault.
It's perfectly readable. I'm just taking my time to actually read through it.
Yeah. As I say, I've got the whole subsection 10, and that was just to chuck through as a holding, just to hold a place, but I want to go through and kind of edit it down just to kind of the really looking at, and what the possible differential in interpretation could come down to, and if that's resolvable. I just can't imagine the legislation is designed to exclude people from assistance.
What a tenancy agreement versus what you've provided kind of verifies for us.
It's not.
Okay.
So when it's not a tenancy agreement. I don't have a tenancy agreement.
I understand that. I'm just saying that. I'm just giving an example here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what a tenancy agreement verifies versus what's been provided by yourself. Okay. It verifies that 4 nights have been paid for, not that this will be ongoing. Okay.
Yeah. If you don't mind, can we skip past that a bit? I know that the point in contention.
That's the relevant part as to why
Yeah. So I know that you guys are really busy, and the other thing is that I'm exhausted, and I'm also run ragged, and so I think if we can just get back to, we don't need to do a big preamble. So the rubbing point for where you and I, or I and MSD, at this particular point, not at previous points, because I've been paid for short-term stays before, the rubbing point is that the interpretation on the MSD side at this time is that it's not accommodation if it's not ongoing. And I don't need an example of ongoing accommodation, because I had been a tenant for 26 years. I don't need that explained to me. But there are other situations that, I don't need an example of ongoing living situations. I, like many New Zealanders, and many more every day, are losing their homes because there are not enough rentals for people. So it's not that I don't understand the situation, it's that I wouldn't say gently, but I am politely challenging the notion that accommodation is defined under the Social Security Act as something that is ongoing.
Okay, so we can only pay accommodation somewhere where you have current costs for, right? Therefore, we also require to verify that. So when we say...
I verified it already, so that's... Yeah.
Not that it would be not that you would tomorrow, the day after. The period that's been provided and the one that was already sent is for a period that is already passed now at this stage as well.
That's right, and so I'm waiting for that.
Right.
I've been waiting for that to be processed so I could be paid for it. Past accommodation is not excluded. The payment date, if payment is to be made, is from the date of application.
Okay. I'm not screening so much on that, but we need that this is your ongoing living situation, right? So all this verifies is that you purchased an Airbnb for a number of nights, like if I benefit purchase a hotel room, we don't then increase our accommodation supplements for that. So therefore we need verification this is your ongoing living situation.
So that's the point that you and I disagree with. So I just want to make it clear that I understand your position, but I think I think your position is inaccurate. So I don't want you to mistake my disagreement with your position as a lack of understanding of your position. What I would like to do is resolve the disagreement. And
I think where we're kind of disconnecting now on isn't so much that we understand what you're saying, what each other's meaning.
Yeah.
Okay?
So I think we both know what each other is.
I'm not going to be granting it, and I've given my reason why.
Okay.
So and then I'm stating what I need in order to grant it, and without that, I can't do that. I can't change that right now. We would need that to be provided.
No, we're talking about two different things. So, at the moment, I'm not I'm prepared to talk about topic two. Topic two is an ongoing situation. At the moment, I am very keen to get the arrears for accommodation that I've paid for.
I'm saying it's the same situation for both topic one and topic two.
It's
We'll either pay the whole thing or we won't pay it. Like that's how it works.
So no offence to you, but you will have got the notes and you will have seen my medical certificate. I've got PTSD and stress, and at the moment I'm just finding this conversation not fruitful. It's nothing. No offence to you whatsoever. Not remotely personal to you, but just I've got a lot to do. It's actually a very scary and a very time and energy consuming job, trying to find places to live, and having lived outside in winter, being freezing cold when you're really sick is horrible, and I've experienced that for 6 nights in winter. Yes, and once without any bedding. And so I'd probably just rather move on where I can actually make progress, because one thing that I've got autism, but one thing I'm a very avid student of human, I suppose, communication and behaviour, and I do try to soften my communication as much as I can and be constructive. And one thing that I have learned is that when one person in the conversation basically stonewalls at a point of negotiation, then the conversation's over. And I think you and I can probably agree that's the case. So I'll thank you very much for your phone call, and I'll just leave it there for now, and I'll follow up in another way later on. So thank you very much. Bye.